Would you believe me?
Hey everyone, Sundowner here. Welcome back to BioShock Infinite and welcome back to the Columbia Raffle and Fair. So as I mentioned before, this is a pretty well disguised tutorial section. So we're going to go in here and take a quick look at some of the things going on and learn how to play the game.
Young miss, roll up and try the amazing power of Bucking Bronco. Whether you need it lifted, lofted, tossed, or tumbled, Bucking Bronco is just the...
This is the first time we're going to get to use one of the powers in the game. We will get a kind of proper introduction to that in a moment, but for now, this is just to give you a general idea of how to fire your powers and what they may do.
And there's devil number one.
Pretty straightforward stuff. You point the reticule at the thing, press the button, and up it goes, but this power will become much more interesting as the game goes on.
And that's three. We have a winner. Here you go, friend. And remember, if you need it lifted, lofted, tossed, or tumbled, Bucking Bronco is your answer.
This area is also a good place to make just a little bit of money for the early game. Money will become quite important as things go on, but for now it's not too pertinent, but it is a good way to get maybe 100 or 150 gold if you go through all of the attractions and win prize 1 and 2. You can see the third prize there is a pack of smokes, which actually decreases your health. But in the interest of time, I'm only going to do these one time just to give you a general idea of what you can expect in the Columbia Raffle and Fair.
Look at this fella go! Blasted him out of the sky! Gotta do better than that. Look at this fella go! Won't be any box left when you're done. Won't be any box left when you're done. Won't be any box left when you're done. Never seen shooting like that. You earned this. Keep the skies clear. Grab a gun and show those Vox who runs this city. Clear the skylines and earn a prize.
Developed by Fink Industries for our troops, now available to all citizens of Columbia. Equus Mechanical, the automatic stallion, our horse of the future, today.
Yeah, no real prize for this one. I guess it's just here for filler. I really love this part of the game because it's a nice calm before the storm, so to speak. And I think it lasts about an hour. You can, from getting to Columbia to getting to the good stuff, you can spend quite some time just getting to know the place, and they do a really good job of building the world and the kind of image of Columbia.
Columbia's finest,
Voxophone.
worth every
Hear
cent.
your voice from the past in the present. Say something, Sonny.
What's a voxophone?
What's a voxophone?
Exactly that. A personal record of voice.
Hey, just so we're clear, I'm not paying for this.
Just a demonstration, sir.
Vending machines are going to become one of our best friends throughout the whole game. As you can see, we have about 77 gold, so not enough to prematurely buy the Bucking Bronco, and I don't actually think you can do that, even though you can make a decent bit of money here. I don't think you could make enough to buy the power early. I think it's just there as an example, but yes, they are very important and pivotal to our survival. And in order to not make myself look completely terrible at shooting games, I switched to my mouse here. I actually do that a couple of times during the opening hour of the game because there's some sections where a controller really helps me move slowly and show some of the more cinematic stuff, whereas when you're shooting guys, you kind of want to switch to the mouse, and I'll be playing with keyboard and mouse for the majority of the game, if anyone at all is curious about that. Which is a nice segue to talk about the actual PC port itself. Irrational managed to come out with a really good PC port, so if you're kind of up in the air whether you want to buy it on consoles, because it may be a console game, or if you want to get it on PC, it certainly has an extremely good port with all of the bells and whistles that you would expect from a standard PC game.
Fitzroy slain, you, sir, shall be richly rewarded.
Anyway, what say we move this on and go and find out what's through the gate down at the end of this lovely little fair.
Come on down and see the amazing handyman. Is he man? Is he machine? Only Colombian ingenuity could create such an amazing marvel. Step right up.
Dear friend, have you ever lost a penny to a vending machine? Has a pay telephone ever refused to connect you with a beloved spouse? Well, it's time to take back control from the men of metal. With possession, you are the master. You will bend any machine to your will.
Give me one of those.
With just a whisper, they're all ears.
Press to turn machines into allies.
What the hell was that?
I actually really like her little speech there when she's delivering you the first of the vigors. I don't know, I just found it delivered quite well, and well, now we're going to take a look and see how that thing actually works.
Sorry, pal. The raffle is all sold out. Entrance is reserved for dignitaries and very important personages alone.
I'm guessing that don't mean me.
Well, if it isn't Assemblyman Buford, your spot at the raffle awaits. Don't know why I didn't recognize you before. Odd. Always good to have gentlemen of your caliber at our fine fairgrounds.
Heads.
Or tails.
Come on, let me through.
Heads.
Or tails.
Heads.
Told you. I never find that as satisfying as I'd imagined.
Chin up. There's always next time.
I suppose there is.
What an odd couple.
Is it that time of year already? When the young ones misbehave, escorts children to their graves.
My role model? Well, Lady Comstock, of course.
This little beauty? The whole division got them. If we're gonna flush the Vox out of the Skyline system, we gotta have the best.
Huh? They got any openings in the group? I'd love to bust some Vox skull.
I think I could do with one of those. Maybe I'll try and pick one up in a store, or something like that. Huh. Well, that was pretty weird. I don't know what that was about.
Madam Lutece, I have read all your books on the sciences. Mama says it's not a fit occupation for a lady, but I think she's jealous of our cleverness. Is it true that only you are allowed to visit the girl in the tower? If the lamb is lonely too, I should like to meet her, as we would have much in common. Warmest regards, Constance.
Now, I don't think Constance really comes into play anywhere in the game, at least not in the main story, but I think that audio log does a good job of showing some of the kind of societal reinforcements there. Pretty interesting.
What the?
Sounds like there's some kind of celebration going on. Well, I'm going to walk towards it because, I don't know, I feel like I have to. In all honesty, this is where things start to take a turn, so I'm going to shut up for the time being, and I'll see you on the other side.
Sometimes I live in the country.
And now, the 1912 Raffle has officially begun!
Mister!
Sorry, no sale.
Silly. There's never a charge for the raffle. You've been sleeping under a rock?
77.
77. That's a lucky number. I'll be rooting for you.
Bring me the bowl! Is that not the prettiest young white girl in all of Columbia? All right then. The winner is number 77!
Oh, what do you know?
Over here! He's the winner!
Number 77, come and claim your prize! First throw!
Please don't do this.
It was me! It was all me! Please! Please! No. Please, what are you doing?
Come on! Are you gonna throw it? Or are you taking your coffee black these days?
Let her go, please! I'm the one you want!
Oh! Looks like we've got a shy one here. We've got to do something about that.
I got something for you, you son of a
Time to
bitch.
wait!
It's him!
Now, where'd you get that brand, boy? Don't you know that makes you the backstabbing snake in the grass false shepherd?
And we ain't letting no false shepherd into our flock. Show 'em what we got planned, boys!
Stop him! Stop him!
Eesh, it's pretty violent, and that's true of a lot of the game's combat. Now, there is a pretty ongoing debate about the combat in this game and whether it contributes to it or if it detracts from it. Personally, I did play this game all for the story, but I didn't ever feel like I was fighting against the gameplay. For one, the gameplay is really tight. It's fun to play, your weapons really pop, and the melee combat is pretty decent as well as using your powers, which we'll see more of. But I don't think it's to the detriment of the game. And one of the biggest issues people have is that there's just endless waves of bad guys. There's a dude in suits coming at you, shooting guns. I am of the personal belief that this is entirely justified, but I probably want to wait until a little bit later before I expound on that. But for the most part, I think the combat is good, but I would love to hear what you think of the combat as well. Also, I just want to apologise for any kind of weird flukes in the gameplay, because I was swapping between the controller and the mouse and keyboard for certain things, and it was kind of confusing me, so there's a few mistakes here and there, but after this video all will be fine because I can switch back to just fully using the keyboard and mouse. One of my main gripes with the combat is there tends to be a lot less ammo for the opening few hours of the game. It just means you have to conserve ammo, or just spam it and do what I do and resort to melee and hoping you can find salts for your powers. It's not too much of a problem, probably in your interest to spare your ammo rather than waste it all. And I have to say, I love the little chime every time you melee kill someone. It's kind of satisfying in the same way that, like in Return to Castle Wolfenstein, there was that weird, I don't know what you would describe the sound as, but it was so satisfying to hear. Just goes the same in this game. Debating with myself whether or not that was Nolan North doing some generic guard voices or not. I don't know, you tell me. And also, I apologise for the Steam pop-ups. I hadn't realised that was on when I was recording, and for future updates, it'll be gone. So a piece of advice, always, whether or not you've possessed them, destroy the turrets, because they can really mess you up if you kind of accidentally leave one, if you forget that you've possessed one and run off, suddenly it starts firing at you like it's happening right now. So I had to tactfully move around the side here, try to avoid that gunfire instead of just destroying it. And oftentimes if you destroy it, you actually get something from it, maybe some silver or some health or food or whatever. Just keep tabs on that. But for now, we're going to come up against, I wouldn't call it a boss, it's certainly not a boss, but it's an introduction to certain enemy types. Pretty brutal at that.
It's getting hot. What's going on?
Fight in the name of the Brotherhood!
Yeah! Ah! A vigor. Huh. Let's kiss. Well, you only live once.
Yowza, yeah, they are pretty brutal animations, and there's going to be a fair few of them throughout. Some of the powers are a little bit more gruesome than that, but I feel like that one was to shock you into getting used to it because it burns his hands, it burns the flesh, and bleh, I don't like it.
That wasn't no sample.
And as you might expect, we can quick swap between any of our powers. We get up to 8, I believe, for the main campaign, and you can swap to anyone on the fly. It all relies on your salt, which is more or less your mana, and you fill that up by picking up salt containers or using one of the little salt refresh stands. Either way, they're limited in their own ways, and they have 1 or 2 attacks each time, different variations on what you can do with them. As described by the tutorial there, we have just the grenade type one, and then we have one where we hold it down and place a trap, which is pretty good for setting up zones right before a fight begins, and we'll do some of that because Devil's Kiss is certainly one of my favourite powers in the game. It can be extremely overpowered, and I'll try and show it off to the best of my abilities as we go on. Infinite does have a little bit of backtracking, so you're going to see as we head into the blue ribbon here, there's an option to enter the blue ribbon or leave the area. We can also return if we want, and there's a few instances where you can do that to find extra items or to go back and find collectibles and things you may have missed. And it's always best to check your surroundings. You may find some interesting items or gold, or I keep calling it gold when it's silver. Whatever. Also, I might want to avoid the alcohol because it blurs your vision and removes your health. But now that we've taken the edge off, let's get into the blue ribbon and find out what's on the other side.
We do indeed.
Why are you following me?
We were already here.
Why are you following us?
Aperitif.
Hey, it's these guys again. Weird. They were way back at the beginning, at the entrance of the Raffle and Fair, and now they're bartending? Well, I don't know.
You'll find that handy in a pinch.
The difference between life and death.
And this is our introduction to the infusions. These are essentially our level ups or power ups, whatever you want to call them. There are 3 of them. There's one for health, one for shields, and one for salts. They all do what you might imagine. They increase them so you can have more health or more salts or more shields. I tend to focus on shields. It's really useful. The shield kind of just works like any modern game, like in a Halo game, where you deplete the shield fully and then start depleting the health, which means if you have a full shield, you practically have a double health bar, which is pretty damn useful, whereas maxing out on health tends not to give you more health than a full shield would.
What was that?
Surprising.
Surprising that it worked?
Surprising that it didn't kill him.
But a magnetic repulsive field around one's body can come in handy.
If it doesn't kill you.
A fair point.
They have a pretty fun dynamic going on, and I find them to be very likeable characters. Also, there's a little funny thing here if you attempt to shoot at one of them.
You missed.
You'll find the going tough enough without squandering your friends.
Or your ammunition.
Yeah, weird. I don't know, maybe we'll find out what all this means soon enough. So we're going to head out here and hear a little bit of propaganda, and then learn a new gameplay mechanic.
Blood on the streets, and worse is the insult, because today is the day that marks our secession from the Sodom below.
God, this place is just beautiful. And it really makes me curious what they may do next, and by they of course I mean Irrational Games. But nevertheless, here is a new game mechanic, using our trusty hook gauntlet thing.
Oh! Damn hook must be magnetized.
We can whip ourselves up onto these hooks. And it's pretty damn fun to use, and there's an even better thing coming up sometime later. But we'll get to that when we get to it. First though, we'll take a look around, maybe stock up on some provisions, and then jump up on the thing and jump down and kill a guy from the skyline. Yes, it is that fun, and we'll get to do that a whole lot as we play through the game. Well, it looks like we got ourselves a new weapon. It's the machine gun. Pretty standard fare from what you would expect. You point it at the thing, pull the trigger, and it kills them. Now you remember those vending machines I spoke about? Yeah, we can go up to those and get some upgrades for various weapons throughout the game. Right now it's not too important, but it is going to make some weapons pretty damn powerful, and I look forward to using them. Just trying to make sure my shield is the only thing being depleted here. If I start depleting my health, I'm going to die pretty quickly. At times you can be kind of squishy and it's easy to die, especially if you're playing on the harder difficulties. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem, especially if we really focus in on that shield for the first maybe 5 infusions. Then we can kind of break off and do other ones. It really just depends on your playstyle, if you rely more on guns or more on your powers, or if you just want to tank the thing, then you can do that if you want as well. So just to put into perspective how easy this may look, I'm playing on the hard difficulty right now, which is technically the 3rd out of 4 difficulties, but if you're playing the game for the first time, this is the hardest difficulty available to you. And the bad guys are still pretty easy to take down. I do eventually switch to normal because I felt like it would have just made recording a little less frustrating, and it means for combat sections I can get through them a little bit quicker than I would on hards, because they tend to be quite lengthy at times, as proven by, well, what we're doing right now.
He was just here! I'll kill you myself.
Alright, these steam pop-ups are getting out of hand. I'm gonna switch them off.
Everyone stay calm and lock your doors if you can.
If you ever find a bottle for a vigor that you've already used, you can just pick it up to get a little boost to your salts. It doesn't give you any double powers or anything like that, unfortunately. So we're going to head down here into this building, and we're going to find a chest that we unfortunately cannot open right now. Now this is an example of the backtracking I was talking about before. There aren't a whole lot of quote-unquote side quests, but there are a couple, and this is the first example of one where we have to go and find the key and come back and open it, and we'll get whatever may be in this chest. Yeah, that one. So yeah, we'll get back to this, but that'll be for another video, because surprisingly it comes a little bit later when we find the key and have to come all the way back just to open it. But it'll be worth it, I can promise you that much.
Hey, it's all all right. I'm not like the rest. I'm a progressive.
You may find characters like this dotted around Columbia. There are people who clearly disagree with Comstock's law and the way of Columbia, and it's pretty interesting to see that little dichotomy form within the world of Columbia. And it is this kind of theme and imagery that will become very emboldened as the game goes on. Oh, there it is again. I left one of the turrets, and they tried to kill me, but I managed to get away in time, thankfully.
Violence is not the answer. As much as I support her cause and her people, blood must not be shed.
What do you expect these poor Negroes to do? How they treat them. It was bound to happen.
Violence is not a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, there's some of that imagery I was talking about.
Tim, the one they're after. Go. They're looking for you.
Police, we're in need of your assistance.
They're here!
Shh. Keep your voice down.
All right, let's move on.
Now, throughout our journey, we're going to see some pretty interesting alternate history paintings. This one is, of course, of Abraham Lincoln, and there in the back you can see Comstock. There's a number of these, and some of them are quite powerful, you could say. Some of the sentiments behind the images we'll see, and even statues around the world. But now we have to slog through another combat section, and I say slog when I justified previously that I think the combat is okay. It doesn't really mean that it's consistently fun to have to do it so much. But it's there, and we have to get through it.
That's what you wanted?
And that, folks, is where I swapped the difficulty. I realised that it was going to become far too frustrating if that could happen while recording, so I switch it down and head back out. And yes, that is a pretty interesting respawn screen. I don't really currently have an explanation for that, and we'll get back to why it's even doubly weird now versus perhaps sometime later in the game. So I'm now on the normal difficulty, and you can see I'm still taking a bit of a beating, so you really want to be wary regardless of what difficulty you play. Using cover, flanking, these are all things that actually work in the game, so you don't have to just run into things with your gun and hope for the best.
Gentlemen, the false shepherd is loose in the streets of our fair city. Will you suffer the shame of allowing your wives and your daughters to fall prey to his machinations? Or will you act? Act for your womenfolk. Act for your prophet. Act.
Yes, act for the Prophet. Join our cult. Kill the bad guy. It's all very interesting stuff you hear going on in the streets of Columbia. Starting to kind of paint maybe this sinister image of Comstock and his intentions? I don't know.
Comstock came by the wagon at dawn. Man was just transfixed by my trophy scalps. Asked about the white ones there. I said, well, sir, if your quarry dwells in the jungle and beds down with the local color, why split hairs? Not a chuckle out of him. Either he ain't seen a man go native, or maybe too many. Anyhow, now it's got me hunting down this Daisy Fitzroy. Hope he don't expect me to stuff and mount her. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Comstock is pretty fixated on getting rid of this Daisy Fitzroy, so perhaps Booker isn't the only target. If you recall back to when we first got to Columbia, there were some citizens actually talking about Daisy Fitzroy and talking about the others, the underclass, or something to that effect. Getting some pretty racist undertones here. In any case, let us stock up on some pistol and machine gun ammo, get our salts and health back to full order, because you know, that stuff kinda helps when you're playing shooter games. In any case, I think for now we have done enough both on the combat and narrative front, so we'll head up these stairs and park outside the gate, and next time we'll potentially find out who's causing these attacks and what the hell it all means. Stay tuned for some of the kinetoscopes and the voxophones, and as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.
I told you, Comstock. You sell 'em paradise, and the customers expect cherubs for every chore. No menials in God's kingdom. Well, I have a man in Georgia who'll lease us as many Negro convicts as you can board. Why, you can say they're simple souls in penance for rising above their station. Whatever eases your conscience, I suppose.
Father Comstock called on me today to write his biograph. Me. The man pays for exactly 100 pages in advance. Now, I'm half a Jew when I smell silver, so I say, Father, your flock would pay for 1,000. You know, why settle for less? And then the prophet looks to me and says, 100 will suffice, as I know how it ends.
Otis works up at the lodge part-time. He took this box from one of their secret ceremonies, and I know for sure there is something dear inside. Problem is, Otis is more fool than not. He didn't bother to also secure a key from the Feathered Brothers to open the damn thing.